Hey YouTube, it's me, Jen, your Pudgy Picker.
And Kim.
And we are finally getting to some of your questions.
Well, you know what you forgot to say?
What?
2 sisters.
One booth.
Well.
I forgot. I think we forgot it
know.
on the last one.
I think you did.
Well, you read the title and you're here, so we're all good.
So welcome. And this is what you're in for the whole time.
Yes. So what I'm going to say is if you have any additional questions, leave them down below, or you can go to my email and send them there, jen@pudgypicker.com. So we're going to kind of go in order. I'm going back to the beginning. I already wrote down what I need to look at. And for each podcast, we're going to start with the first one. We're going to do questions, and then we're going to do the quote, the best comment for the video so far. Because there are some doozies.
Yes.
So if you're ever watching and you're thinking, man, I wish I had something to look at, scan through and look at the comments down below. So the first one for our first podcast is Drew. Hi, Drew. He always comments on all my videos.
Hi, Drew.
Yeah. So let's see what he has to say. His question is, does your antique mall take commission for all the items that sell, or do they collect space rent only? Are you thinking, or do you want me to answer that?
Oh, I left for a moment, but I'm back now.
Okay.
So,
Do I have to really repeat that?
I don't.
Does
You
your
start
antique...
talking, I'll go.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
I thought it was only my kids that tune out when I'm
I had a
talking.
senior moment for a moment there.
Ooh. Does
Okay.
your antique mall take commission for all of the items that sell, or do they collect space rent only? And this is our famous answer is yes and no.
Yes and no.
So there's 2 different ways we can pay our rent. We have a set amount, and then they take 10% of anything we sell, or you can pay a little more with that rent and they don't take anything. So it really depends on what you're selling as to kind of what you want to do. We have a furniture gallery in the back that we are allowed to have 2 items in there at any one given time. Mm-hmm. And if you put something back there, no matter what your rent plan is, you have to pay 10% on anything you put in the back.
Yeah, because it's a shared space, so you're paying that little bit extra to use it back there.
Yeah, so when we write, is it after our... I think it's after our vendor number, we have to put F, so that means furniture room, which I always forget to do. And then I asked the owner once, I'm like, well, I pay 10%, that's the plan we have. Do I really have to do that? And she said, yes. So
I guess it just, that way it keeps it uniform and nobody's questioning what's going on.
Yeah, so I know. So I got to get better at that because I'm not so great at that.
Shame on you.
I know.
What did we just go over about following the rules?
Oh, I know. Well, yeah. Next question, also from Drew. And speaking of commission, are sellers required to pay for a whole booth, or can they just sell on commission or consignment if they have a few things to sell, or they don't want to deal with maintaining a booth? Please say you heard that, because I'm not repeating it. That was a long one.
Yes, I did hear you as yes.
Okay.
But no. Go on.
Yes, but no.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the answer was no.
Yeah. So you have a space. You can kind of tailor that space. We have half spaces. We have 3/4 spaces. We have full spaces.
There's some people that have a whole booth that will kind of let somebody else use half the space.
Yeah, and that's something that they just kind of work out between the 2 of them. Consignments, or even if Kim and I have somebody say, hey, could you put something in your booth? The answer is no. And it's funny because we figure if anybody gives you a hard time, I said, Kim, if somebody asks you and you say no and they're like, well, just say, Jenny and I made a decision and the answer is no. So blame it on me.
Yeah,
That's
we made
okay.
that decision at the very beginning of this when we first started, but it was more so because, especially with the other one, you've got your rent, you pay extra for electric, you pay for credit card percentage and all. There's so much that goes into figuring out. If I just took your one item, all the mathematical gymnastics I would have to go
Yeah,
through
and
to
if
figure
it
it
sits
out.
there for a while, that's valuable
that's
space
space,
to us.
yep.
And we got plenty of stuff, so filling
And
up
no
a space,
space.
is not a problem. Another question from Drew. Actually, we have 3, I think.
I know he's really full of questions.
Yes, but they're good questions.
Bring them on.
I also want to know what you do with seasonal merchandise when the season ends. Do you have a sale, clearance section in your booth, or do you just pack those away for the following year? Certain items, if I have them and they're really nice items, I will save them. But if they're kind of junky anyway, then I will usually just get rid of them or mark them down.
Yeah, we usually have them marked down at the end of season, and then if there are things that really aren't worth, or if we had saved them from the year before and they didn't go, then sometimes I'll keep stuff. If I'm going to have a garage sale, still try to recoup a little bit on them.
Yeah.
But if not, it's just definitely
like Anne
donated.
from CN Save, she has a consignment store. That would be awesome.
That would be. Yeah, I don't know if we have anything like that around here.
No matter how good you are, you're always going to have duds from eBay, from your booth. It's just the way it is. And then he says, and I just thought of something else. In a co-op, do you have a regular work schedule, or is that something you have to negotiate every week or every month? We don't have a set day. We have 2 days that we are expected to work because we have a full-size booth.
Yep.
And everybody, they have little papers that you sign in, and you turn those in, and then they make the schedule out. But if you have a specific job or a specific day, it's in your best interest to get that schedule in as soon as possible, because once it starts filling up and you're late in getting it turned in, you have to be the fill-in.
Yep. Yeah.
So, yeah.
You can do it a couple of months in advance. They kind of like it that way if you can, because then they know for sure they've got, bodies there.
What's weird is I had some extra hours. And I don't know how I did that. And she was 4 hours behind.
Yeah, I wonder how that happened.
Well, what I ended up doing is I gave you some of my hours. So they took away what you owed. And I still have 6 hours. So I think next month, since it's garage sale season, I'm probably just going to come in and work a couple hours and be done.
Well, we had that one time before where we had accidentally... because she has a vendor number and I have a vendor number. So when you work, you have to write down your vendor number. If you're working for someone else, you're supposed to write down the vendor number for the person that you're working for.
Yeah, if somebody hires you, or if we're helping each other out with time. And
that's what happened the last time. We went in and both did a half a day at the same day, same time. I signed in under my number. She signed in under hers. So, of course, they gave her the extra hours, and I looked like I was short.
You're such a derelict.
Well, and that still wasn't my fault. We had a really, really bad snow blizzard. That's not uncommon here in this part of Ohio. To the point where I was getting ready to try to go in the storm in the morning, and they called and said, no, the driveways, everybody's stuck, don't go.
I don't think they got the parking lot.
Yeah, they
done,
didn't.
so
No,
that
it was
definitely,
bad.
Yeah.
So I never thought that I'd have to make up the day when they called off that day. So that's why I was missing a day. Otherwise, I am very prompt and efficiently work all of my times assigned.
Yes,
right,
ma'am.
now we can
have that disclaimer out there.
Yes.
Okay, another question from Debbie Parker she said, perfect timing. I had just decided to get a booth and look forward to all your tips and advice. Would like to hear about seasonal selling and when and how far in advance you start buying and putting the merchandise. So, when do we buy seasonal merchandise?
I buy it when I see it and it's a good price.
Whenever we can get our greedy little hands on it.
That's right.
I find most of my seasonal items in the summer.
Garage sale, yeah.
So garage sale, I bring it home. You've seen my hauls. If you watch this channel regularly, you see I take it down. I have some huge tubs. I have fall, winter, spring, and summer. And then I just take the items down, put them in there. When I'm approaching the season, approaching, you like that?
That's a new word.
So when we're getting close to the season, I pull that out and start pricing it. So yeah, all the time, whenever we can get our hands on stuff at a good price.
But as for when we put it out, you kind of take a clue along with any other normal retail business. They push the limits, of course. That as soon as they pull
swimsuits in December.
Yep, they pull out the swimsuits and they put in the holiday stuff immediately. So, but reasonable, because you only have a short period of time to sell seasonal things. So you have to be on top of it. It's good if you have, like, I have a calendar in my phone that I use for my whole life is in that calendar.
Yep.
And if you have a hard time thinking about or remembering or planning, think about it one night when you're sitting there watching TV and say, this would be a good time to start putting that in my booth. Put it in your calendar accordingly so it pops up and goes, reminder, this is the time where you need to start pulling your seasonal stuff out, or vice versa.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think before the season really starts, we have restocking days, where it's a day where only vendors are allowed in. The store is actually closed to customers. And that's a good time to change out a lot of seasonal stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely. Okay, vintage APT. Is that appointment or is that apartment? Apt. Okay, let's go with that. Let's see. I do have questions like, how often are you in your booth? So, how often are we there, Kimberly?
We're there at least once a week.
Yep.
We usually, the first day that the store is open, because it's closed on Monday and Tuesday. So we always go out Wednesday afternoon to restock, to clean, to straighten, to whatever needs to be done. Plus, our work days are in between, we go back in. Or, you live close by, so there's times where you need to stop in, because she does other work for the store, too. She's on the advertising committee and things, so sometimes she needs to stop in to drop off or pick up stuff, and when she's there, you'll run over and straighten up.
In fact, when we were there today, I had ran in on Saturday or Sunday, and then when she came in, she was there a minute or two before me, and she's like, booth looked pretty clean. I'm like, yeah, I was here, I straightened.
Yeah, I didn't have too much. Somebody was digging through my tissue covers, my little ones, so I had to straighten those up good.
Yeah, I had a lot of fabric that was sold, so it looked like a tornado blew through the fabric. Somebody says, do you take turns being in your booth? Does someone have to be there all the time, or is there management in the overall store that sells your stuff when you're not there? Yes, we have one central checkout in the front, so people just mill around from booth to booth. If they find something they want to buy, there are people walking around who have their name badges and have an apron, so you can give your item to them. They give you a claim ticket, and then they take it up front and put it on shelves so it's ready when you're ready to check out. So we don't physically have to be there. So it's like if we're not there, we don't close up. It's not like a flea market where you have a stand or a booth. Mm-hmm. So in effect, a lot of people don't even really realize that there's different vendors.
Yeah.
So yeah, it works out really nice that way.
Well, and that's why it's considered a co-op, because we're all working for the benefit of each other. So when you are there and you're working, you're not just there for your, stopping in and taking care of your business. When you're on time for them, you're working for the whole store, all the other vendors. You're making sure security for everybody there and helping to sell their items as long as yours. Because if you're successful, others can be successful and vice versa.
And I think the last question we had on the first podcast was by Mitzi Mitchell. And I've told Mitzi you before that we have a sister-in-law named Mitzi.
Mitzi.
Because we got to say Mitzi. Because she's from Georgia.
She's from Georgia Peach.
So, yeah. I did notice that you said, how long should you look to stay in a booth before you close down? That's funny you should say that. We already did a podcast on that, so make sure you tune in and get that one. So, I would say that our best comment for this first podcast, absolutely number one, was, I am driving a forklift at work and listening, yay. Isn't that awesome?
You go, was it girl?
I have no idea.
You go, girl, guy, whoever you are.
Sweet Home, Alabama. That's who left that. And I said, awesome, be safe. So that was a pretty cool.
That's got to be fun.
That was one of our first comments, and I told Kim about it. We just laughed. So, yeah, be careful out there.
I've never drove a forklift, but I would.
That sounds like fun, actually.
I want to drive one of those little things that you dig around the backyard with. What are those called? I can't think what they're called. But You get in.
I've seen the big ones, but they got the little baby ones.
They got the little
cute.
baby ones.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to get in one of those.
I don't know.
But then again, I'd take a big one too. It'd
That'd
fun.
be kind of scary.
I know. Oh, wouldn't it be though?
Okay, so we're moving on now to our podcast number 2, which was entitled Clean Up. And our first comment was Michelle Biscotti. That goes good with coffee, doesn't it?
Might use some. Yeah.
And hers was, we just talked about this in our last podcast, or we just talked about it recently, was about consignment. She said it's so big in our area that we don't do it. It's a whole other animal. So yeah, we've talked about that, and we usually say no. You know what I do? Because people, once they find out you have a booth or you sell on eBay, hey, could you sell something? And it is a very rare thing. I do it on eBay. Connor recently did that with a former high school teacher he had that had some really awesome figurines that he needed to sell that were, I forget what it was. Some kind of Lord of the Rings, but it was before the movies, and it was an artist who makes these, and they literally sell for hundreds of dollars. So he was helping his former teacher, and he was really an awesome guy and really helped Connor with scholarships and school and stuff. So that was, in fact, Connor, when he got the money and gave it to him, his teacher said, well, you sure you don't, I told you could take like 10% or 20%. And he goes, no, I know you need the money and it's okay. So that was awesome.
He's such a good
He
boy.
is. He must have really good parents.
Sweeter. Well,
What are you going to say to that?
yeah.
And guess who we got another comment from? Drew.
True.
Let's
buddy here
see. He made the comment in question about, let's say someone finds something in your booth that they want to buy, but the price tag is missing. Missing.
What's wrong with your
don't
tongue
know.
tonight?
Either because we forgot to price it, which occasionally happens. It falls off, which happens a lot.
Yes.
Or the customer takes it off, which I'm sure occasionally does happen as well. It says, do the people working the day make up a price, or do they call the vendor? Yes, they call the vendor.
Yes, if they know who it belongs to, because the sticker's missing, remember?
Yeah, if they know basically what booth it's from, they say, I just picked this up in that booth, then they will call us and ask.
If they find if the person brings it up and doesn't remember where the heck they picked it up, which happens all the time, we have a specified area on a shelf that's marked for items just like that are missing the price, or they may have a sticker on them and no vendor number, which has happened. So we make it a habit when you go in to go over and check the shelf to make sure nothing of yours is up there.
Yeah, and occasionally if somebody finds a price tag that is just laying on the floor, and we know that customers have come up and they have a price tag stuck on them. That's happened before.
Yes.
Usually if those are found, we have a special little piece of paper that says this price tag was found unattached to an item, and then they put the date and then they staple it on there, and then that's put into your book. So occasionally I've had things pop up in my in the book where they put the sales stickers, and I'm like, oh, that item's still in my booth, so that reminds me to go back and take care of the price. Or if they get up there or they can't find the price or they can't sell it, and there's an area up front that is this yours? If so, how much? So whenever we're there weekly, we just kind of go over to that shelf and take a quick look-see. Because sometimes if you have a set of something, we try and mark each individual item.
Yep.
Or if you have...
1 of 2, 1 of 4, 2 of 4.
Somebody's coming up. That kind of thing. So, yeah. Okay, and our favorite comment that was left was from Liz Salas, S-A-L-A-S. I know if I'm slaughtering your name, I apologize. And it says, the quote of the day from your podcast was, it's not an affliction, it's not an affection, it's an affliction. And she says, I have the same affliction to anything glass. To the not as famous sister, we need to start a recovery group. Great content. So that was the questions in our second podcast. Let's see. In our third one, we were talking about selling items under $5, if it was worth it or not. And Lauren left a comment. She said, you had a box of keys. I remember them. What did you do with them? Nothing. I still have them.
We all have those little death piles here and there.
I have a couple of really cool ideas for them, but I haven't really, that's definitely something you go on Pinterest and look for ideas with keys. So I will eventually someday get to that. Our favorite comment for the third podcast was, great podcast. I wish I lived near both of you. I would be the neighbor in the next booth asking for decorating help. And we would give it to you, too.
We would. We'd let you have it.
Yes, we would. We've gotten a reputation for if somebody has questions. In fact, today I went to when we were at our booth, I stopped real quick at the office to get something, and I got jumped with several questions. That's why it took me so long. Mm-hmm. Kim comes around the corner like, what are you doing? I thought you went to do one thing. Okay. Next was our podcast number 4. We were talking about storage and display items. And Lauren had another question, if I can find it. She said, Jen, I was told by the former owner of my antique mall that the money was in furniture. You don't sell any furniture, do you? Yes, we do, occasionally.
Yes.
Like we talked about, we have the furniture gallery in the back, and we can have up to 2 items. That's large items that wouldn't fit in our booth.
Yeah, they do have a certain size limitation, but I don't know exactly what it is, but it has to be.
I think it's like 80 inches combined, like tall, width, depth kind of thing.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, and we have, a standard size booth. So we have little tables and other little furniture. Yeah, that kind of thing. So, yeah, we do like to keep that moving around. If you have a double space, you have more room for furniture or chairs or things like that. That was the only question we had on that one. Trying to find Latest Grace. Nope. GCG. Latest Grace was the last podcast. I'm getting behind me. GCG Mommy, that was one of our favorite comments, if I can find it now. She said, thanks for making these podcasts. I have a booth at my local antique flea market, and I take all of your advice to heart. I learned some valuable tips about presenting my products and making sure everything looks appealing. Well, of course, that's the best one. That was so flattering.
I guess so.
And I did miss one other question. Kayla H. Said that she had a booth in 2015. Then the antique mall closed. She goes on to ask, where is it? She said, my question is, do we set up things that you sell, or do we put all the same things in one spot? Like, do you have a bunch of coffee mugs, which you put them all together, or spread them out? So...
Well, when we first started our other booth, it was funny because we were going to share the space. So we kind of had this, here's the demarcation line, and your stuff here and your stuff there. And so at one point she had picture frames on her side, picture frames on my side, cups on her side, cups on mine. And it got to a point where it's like, you need to shop your store. If you would shop and you find things spread all over the place, you're liable to miss something. If you're looking for coffee cups, teacups, something, if they're grouped similar, if they're grouped together, similar section, people will find them easier. They're liable to miss them if you have them sitting by the book, one by a books and the other one's by the other. So yeah, we prefer to kind of group our stuff in. Like kitchen together and jewelry together.
Like if you had a mug that was an owl, and you have owls, it would make more sense to put it by the mugs, because it's primarily a coffee mug before it's whatever, Yeah. So, I mean, I guess you could say technically you could decorate
and if you have
different ways.
If you have furniture in your booth, it's understandable you may want like if it's a little dresser or something that would go into a bedroom, you may want, a couple of items that would set it up to give the idea of it being in a bedroom with a glass powder dish or whatever. But in general, unless you're staging an item, it should probably be grouped together.
Yeah, I think if we do things seasonally, then kind of all bets are off. Like we
Yeah.
have the display, area in the front, or if we have like one time we did all white things, and
Yeah.
that was really cool because we had mugs and lamps and ceramic, decor and vases, anything that was white, and it really made a striking
a little boy
presentation.
and little girl's bust.
Yeah,
it
so
was-
that, stuff like that, if you're doing like a seasonal display or a display you're changing all the time, that would make more sense. Podcast number 5, that was about Should I Quit? And GCG Mommy asked in her comment, she said, do you do any of your own advertising for your booth? I've used OfferUp in the beginning, but I find that once I tell people to go to my flea market booth, they are no longer interested. That's interesting. Is there anything you do to drum up sales for your booth beyond the marketing your mall does?
Well, we have the ability to, if we would want to put things like on Craigslist, and we can list the address and times available for people to come view it there at the store. And I know some people have used that. It's kind of nice for us because it's a safe location. There's lots of people. You never have to worry about all that kind of stuff you have to do by yourself. But in general, our store, I think, does an excellent job at being able to market. They've done such a good job at marketing that in less than 2 years, our information is in places we never dreamt it could be this early on.
And the interesting thing is, too, that we advertise on Facebook, and we have the opportunity to approach the manager of our store, and if you give her $5, whenever you want, if you feel like doing it once in a great while, that's fine, and she'll come into your booth specifically, take pictures, and put them on Facebook. So they do that each day of the week. There's different pictures going up, and they have the vendor number underneath. So that's a little extra something you can do. And usually she'll say, is there anything in particular you want me to take a picture of? Mm-hmm. And I've pointed out a few things, and almost immediately those items do sell. Yeah. So if you got at least 1 or 2 things for $20 or more, and you pay her $5, mm-hmm. It pays for itself very easily.
Yeah, and for people who wouldn't know any better, the reason it's for the $5 is it has to do with a base amount of money that the store pays on their page to promote a certain amount of pictures. So by each person giving in a certain amount of dollars, that covers their cost of posting it. So
because recently, being on the ad team, I know we spend a lot of money on Facebook, and we've gotten really great results because of it.
That's worth the money when you get that kind of results. And people comment and say, how much is that? Can you give me a size on that? Can you, show interest automatically.
Or they'll call the store. Is it still there? And our owners and the manager will say, hang on, I'll go look. And they'll go and tell them. They'll say, oh, yeah, how tall is that? I want to know if it'll fit under a window or whatever. So, the response, not just, hey, look, here's some great pictures, but the responsiveness when people call and say, hey, is it still there? I really want that.
Yep.
The follow-up is very, very awesome.
Yeah.
Another question we had was from Mary Cole, and she said, do you have a restocking inventory budget for your booth? And do you stick to it each month? Budget. What a funny word.
How do you spell? I don't know that word.
I don't know. I'll have to Google that. No, I don't. I always have a certain amount I take with me thrifting and garage sailing. And if I find some good priced stuff that I know I can peddle for high, I'm kind of willing to pay. Some weeks I spend more money than others. But no, I don't really have a budget.
It's just my wallet that dictates my budget. That's it.
When you open it up, there's tumbleweeds. It's time to go home.
Yeah, no more budget.
I don't know. I guess people think we're so much more organized than we are.
I scoff at them.
You're so cute. Let's see. And our favorite comment, although we did have Bonna Arnold said, go Browns. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not on that one.
Yay.
So, yeah, we really enjoy the comments. So please, please keep them coming.
You missed one, didn't you?
No, what did I miss? Huh?
You missed the favorite one.
Oh, I said the Go Browns one, but no, let's see. Lauren made a...
I don't know if that was the one or not, but the one that
under
laughed so loud.
5. Oh, no, that's... just give me a minute
I was
here.
going to say, we can't miss
Oh,
that.
we were talking about the wall colors.
Oh, well, that's one of them, too, but
Yes.
that's not the one I was talking about.
But Lauren said, my booth wall is baby poop on crack yellow. I think she got the same color we did. And she said, but I don't have the strength to paint it, and my husband refuses to do it, and I don't blame him. The color makes me irritated and is uninspiring. Now that's really a description there. I don't know what a good color really is for what I sell. We just do like a darker taupe color.
Yeah, it's a nice neutral color no matter what you do in there.
Plus, a lot of our display pieces are white, so it kind of makes them, pop. So you can see that. Yeah, I think that's coming up. Okay, and then number 6. I'm never done. Never done. Okay, in our podcast number 6, we talked about should we sell items that other vendors are selling. And we had Lauren. No. There was no questions for this one. I remember looking and thinking, that's weird. But
we're doing such a good job educating, they didn't have any questions that time.
It must be. But, let's see. Jules, Jewels, Julsjewels.
Oh, nice little twist
You
there.
like that, huh?
That's cute.
She said, happy sales to you until we meet again. So, yeah. So we didn't really even have any questions on that one. But literally, keep them coming. Leave a comment down below. And we will get to you. Sorry it took so many podcasts for us to get to them. But we will answer all your questions because we know that there's not... we have a lot of podcast ideas, but we haven't quite gotten to them yet. So you may have a question that we are going to address later, but we will definitely cover all important information. So if you have any questions, leave them below, or you can email me at jen@pudgypicker.com. So hope you enjoyed this podcast. Why are you looking at me funny? Oh, I don't know. Did I miss that one?
That's what I keep telling you.
Oh.
I don't remember you mentioning that
Oh, there
one.
was a comment where you talked about bungholes. Everyone loved that podcast where you mentioned bungholes. And the comment was, I hope I didn't scare the neighbors when they heard me laughing, because I was laughing about Kim making a comment about bungholes.
Sorry she didn't get that one wrote down to look back on
I'm
to give
But
credit to
what
whoever
she
it was.
said. I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I know that word is just funny.
It is.
It's a funny word,
And it has so many
I know.
meanings.
It's just impactful.
Impactful. Ooh, okay.
Oh,
We'll end on that one.
Ra-dum,
Impactful and bunghole in the same sentence. There's just something wrong about that. So not sure what our next podcast is going to be about. We haven't gotten that far, but we will be here next week with another awesome podcast of Two Sisters,
One booth.
Yes. So until next time, we will see you then.
Bye.
Bye.